Hey, shalom everyone! This is Kris Shoemaker, also known as Yehudah ben Shomeyr, and welcome to the Ponderings of the Paranormal, where we explore, through a biblical Judeo-Christian worldview, the paranormal world. Now, today I want to talk to you about aliens and UFOs. I'm going to try to be as brief and concise as possible because this subject can go off into so many different directions, and there's so many rabbit trails. There's so many stories and accounts that we can springboard off of. So I'm going to try my best to just be very succinct and concise in regards to the alien and UFO phenomena. Actually, UFO is probably going the way of the dinosaur, and it's being replaced with a UAP, which is unidentified aerial phenomena. And UFO is unidentified flying object. So in the news, with the leak of Naval and Air Force video of pilots encountering these UFOs, they are now calling them UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. So if you're going to talk about UFOs, you kind of got to talk about aliens. They kind of go hand in hand like a Reese cup, man, like chocolate and peanut butter. So you can't really deal with one without the other. However, this has been the narrative since the 1940s and Roswell, and even a little before, is that UFOs and aliens are extraterrestrial. Now, what extraterrestrial means is that they do not come from this planet, and it implies that they come from outside of our solar system, and maybe from another star system, but they're somewhere out there in outer space. It is assumed that, because the technology of these UFOs/UAPs defy the laws of physics as we know them, and because these alien craft, are way more advanced than anything that we have out there today, or at least what is known by the public, it is therefore assumed that a higher entity, a higher intelligence that is not of this world has created this craft, because they can go from 0 to thousands of miles per hour in a split second, and they can make right angle turns without slowing down or stopping. Physically, this is impossible. Anybody trying to do that in a human devised aircraft will either be a grease spot on the console of that aircraft, or they'll just crash and die and burn, because it's just impossible for any earthly vehicle that we have to maneuver in such ways. Not only that, these UFOs, UAPs, whatever you want to call them, tend to appear and disappear at will. They're just all of a sudden there, like they come out of nowhere, and then they disappear just the same. Or, if they're there, they speed off at a ridiculous amount of speed, and you don't see them. And because it is assumed that these UFOs, UAPs are extraterrestrial, that they're from another world in our universe, they are built by a higher intelligence, another form of life that is more intelligent than we are, aka the aliens, whether you want to call them the Nordics, whether you want to call them the Greys. There's supposedly different species of alien life. You have the Nordics, who kind of look like us, but they've got blonde hair, blue eyes, much taller than we are. You have the gray aliens with the round bulbous heads and the little slit for a mouth and the almond black shaped eyes. You have the reptilians, who kind of look like, if you ever remember the 1980s miniseries V, and they kind of rebooted it there in the early 2000s, the aliens sort of look like that, the reptilians. You have the mantis-like creatures, they're like insectoids, and I know I'm probably leaving a whole bunch out, but these are the predominant supposed alien species. They have made claims, these aliens, people who have had supposed contact with these aliens, with these entities. They claim they come from Zeta Reticuli, which is another star system. They claim they come from this star or that star. And so, because of all this, it is assumed, and the accepted secular narrative of the alien UFO phenomena is that these things come from another world within our universe. Most likely outside our solar system in another star system. So, that seems plausible, right? It seems like a no-brainer, right? Well, if you are a Christian, or if you are a believer in Messiah Yeshua and you come from a Judeo-Christian worldview, this kind of throws a monkey wrench into us human beings being the pinnacle of God's creation, being created in His image. If there is intelligent life out there in other star systems and on other worlds, then what does that mean for us? We are not unique in the universe like we assumed. We are not alone like we assumed. And then that begs the question, well, we are a fallen race according to Genesis. Adam and Eve sinned. They took of the forbidden fruit and therefore plunged our world into sin. Well, if the world is in a fallen state, did it affect the universe? And with the second law of thermodynamics, with supernovas and black holes, yes, we would say that the sin affected the entire universe. So if it did it affect these aliens? And if so, how? And why would it affect them if they weren't the direct cause of the fall? It would be like, they would get pegged or blamed or have to pay the consequences for something that they never did or were involved in. Now, if they are fallen too, does that mean that Jesus Christ, Yeshua, Messiah, had to die on that planet and redeem them like He redeemed us? So it brings about a whole slew of questions and scenarios that are difficult to answer. But from a Judeo-Christian worldview, we have a totally different way of looking at this, a totally different way of consideration in regards to what UFOs are, what UAPs are, and what these aliens are, who and what they are. And for that, we have to go back to Genesis chapter 6. So Genesis chapter 6 verse 4 says, the giants were in the earth in those days and also after that. So this was pre-flood, and then it's saying that these giants were also there after the flood. So the Hebrew word for giants is Nephilim. And some believe that it means the fallen ones, those who are fallen. So the Nephilim, the giants, were in the earth in those days and also after that. When the sons of God, that's an important phrase there, sons of God, came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same were the mighty men that were of old, men of renown. Now, in our enlightened intellectual day of academia, most theologians say, oh, well, the sons of God is the holy line of Seth intermarrying with the debaucherous and depraved, sinful daughters of men, which are the daughters of Cain. But if you look at Christian and Jewish commentary, from the 19th or the 20th, 19th, 18th centuries and beyond, that was not the predominant theological understanding. The predominant theological understanding is that the sons of God are the angelic race. Every instance in the Tanakh, the Old Testament, where you see the phrase sons of God in the book of Job and elsewhere, it is referring to the heavenly hosts. It refers to the angelic beings, the angelic race. It does not at any time in the Old Testament refer to human beings as the sons of God. So it's understood that sons of God is a phrase meaning angels or heavenly beings. So it says that the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same were the mighty men that were of old, men of renown. So Lucifer, Hillel, in the Hebrew. He rebelled against God, took a third of all the heavenly host, and rebelled against God. There was a war in heaven. Satan and his fallen angelic cohorts were cast out of heaven, and they fell to earth. And it is believed that they had sexual intercourse with the daughters of men and created these Nephilim, these giants, these angelic human hybrid. Now, people will say, well, aren't angels spirits? Well, yeah, I'm sure that they are comprised of spirits, but the Apostle Paul, in one of his letters, talks about how that there are different bodies. There are heavenly bodies, there are terrestrial or earthly bodies. So he's implying that angels do have a type of body. They have a type of glorified body, if you will, because they have bodies that can do amazing things. They can appear and disappear at will. They have supernatural strength, supernatural power. In the account of God and the angels visiting Abraham before the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, these angels ate earthly food. Manna was called angels' food, so that it implies that angels have a digestive system, angels can eat. And then people say, well, what about the passage where, it says that angels do not marry? Well, they do not marry because they're not permitted to marry. The righteous, unfallen angels do not marry. They have no reason or purpose to. But just because they don't marry doesn't mean that they don't have the ability to reproduce, doesn't mean that they don't have sexual organs. So these fallen angelic beings that followed Hillel, that followed Lucifer, who were cast out of heaven, they fell to earth, and they paraded themselves as Elohim. That is the Hebrew word for gods. They paraded themselves as gods, and they set up all these religions in their name. So all these pagan deities, Molech and Baal or Baal, Ashtaroth and Asherah and Dagon and Chemosh, etc., they brought into themselves human beings to worship them. They created a cult, and these fallen angels manifested themselves in human form, and it was considered worship, it was considered allegiance and loyalty, and it was considered an honor to basically be able to cohabitate with these gods. So if you were chosen to sire a child by one of these fallen angels, these gods, these false gods, these Elohim, it was considered a great honor. So the sons of God, the fallen angelic race, came in unto, that's just a polite way of saying had sex with, the daughters of men, human beings. And they produced these human angelic hybrids. And when they were born, they grew to be giants. Goliath was one of these giants. It is estimated that he was anywhere from 10 to 15 feet tall. Og, king of Bashan, he had 6 fingers and 6 toes, and he was an enormous height. And his height is recorded as being so many cubits because his bed was so big, it was a fantastic size, that it was put on display even back in Bible times. And these human angelic hybrid, the Nephilim, they were called by many names, or many tribal names, and one of them were the Rephaim, and they were the kings and the rulers of people because they were seen as quasi or semi-divine, because they were the sons of the gods. They were the Nephilim, they were the giants. And so they went by other names like Zuzim and Zamzumim and the Emim and Anak and the Anakim. And they polluted the human DNA of the Canaanites, which the Canaan was a son of Ham. So they decided to take Canaan's descendants and cohabitate with them, and the Nephilim were produced through the Canaanite people. And so you read older commentaries, and it was just understood that these were the facts. But because we feel in our enlightened intellectual age that that is too fantastical, that's the stuff of fantasy and science fiction, so we can't believe that, so there's got to be a human logical explanation. So the Sethite theory was brought about, where the sons of God is actually, the holy line of Seth, and the daughters of men were the the corrupt line of Cain. But that is not, that does not fit the biblical narrative. Why is it so fantastic to believe that fallen angels cohabitated with women when Christendom, Judeo-Christendom, believes in miracles? They believe that Jesus turned the water into wine, walked on water, raised the dead, healed the sick. We believe that a serpent talked, a donkey talked. We believe that the Red Sea parted. We believed in all these miracles, but yet, oh, well, that's just way too far-fetched to believe, these fallen angels cohabitating with human women, when that was the original interpretation from the beginning, from ancient, from of old, and it was brought down, and that opinion started changing around the 19th century. And so what was the purpose of Satan and his fallen angelic cohorts cohabitating with human women? The whole purpose was to thwart God's plan of redemption established in Genesis 3:15, called the Proto-Evangelium, where it says that there would be enmity between the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent, and that the seed of the woman would crush the head of the serpent, and the serpent would strike at the heel of the seed of the woman. So Yeshua, Jesus, the Messiah, the Redeemer, had to be born through a pure human DNA bloodline, because the whole purpose was to redeem fallen human beings, not fallen angels, not human angelic hybrids. Fallen angels and Nephilim, human angelic hybrids, they are unredeemable, because Jesus was 100% God, 100% man. He was 100% God to have the ability and the power to redeem. He was 100% man, born of a woman, seed of the woman, if you will. He was 100% human, therefore having the right to be our kinsman redeemer, having the right to redeem us. So Satan thought, if we can stop this Genesis 3:15 prophecy, and we can pollute and corrupt the whole human genome, then it would be impossible for the Messiah to come and redeem people. Humanity would be lost forever because they would be polluted with angelic blood, and they would no longer truly be human. See, this is why the Canaanites, God commanded the Canaanites to be wiped out. People say, oh, the God of the Old Testament's a genocidal God. He just wiped out men, women, and children without mercy, and even animals. Well, if you understand that they weren't truly human, and that all flesh was corrupted, because in the days of Noah, it says all flesh had corrupted itself. So not only were fallen angels cohabitating with human women and creating these hybrids, the animal population was also being polluted, where there was these chimera creatures. You don't necessarily get that from the canonical scriptures per se, but it's alluded to and hinted at when it says that all flesh had corrupted itself. Corrupted means that it's not in God's order anymore. It's not the way God intended or created it. So if you look at apocryphal literature, such as the books of Enoch, Jasher, and Jubilees, it gives a little bit more detail and insight to these fallen angels and what they did. They taught men how to make weapons. They taught men how to perform abortions. They taught them sorcery, and they taught them how to make drugs. They taught them, forbidden things. And so they taught them angelic technology that seemed to be far advanced and way ahead of its time. You kind of see where I'm going here with this? And so even these chimera creatures would help us to understand a little bit of history and paganism, because the chimera creatures would help the Greek mythology, the Egyptian mythology make sense, because you had in Greek mythology the centaurs, which were half horse, half man, the minotaurs, which were half bull, half men. You had cyclops. You had in Egyptian you had these human bodies with dog heads or bird heads, and so you had all these chimera type creations, which it was blending of human DNA with animal DNA and several different kinds of animals blended together. That's where the myths of Pegasus and unicorns and Pan and things like that come from. So these fallen angels cohabitating with human women, and creating these chimera-type creatures gave us the whole mythos that is found throughout the different cultures and religions of the world, and kind of created the fantasy genre. But we live in the space age. We don't live back in medieval times anymore. We don't live back in the times of dragons and knights and things of this nature. So that narrative wouldn't fit our modern day. We are in the space age. We've supposedly traveled to the moon and sent satellites careening outside of our solar system and things like that. So Satan just takes what he did in the past and puts a new spin on it, puts a modern motif on it. And so this explains the whole alien and UFO phenomena. If you research the UFO phenomena, UFOs were seen way back in medieval times and during the Renaissance, and even way before that, even in the times of the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th century, back in the time of the apostles and after that. UFOs have been recorded in Chinese lore and Egyptian lore, but and then some people have even drawn what these crafts looked like, especially in medieval times, what they looked like. And I think it's very interesting that these craft are always one step ahead of modern technology. So there is one craft back, I think, in the medieval times or Renaissance times that was shaped like a cigar and had portholes. Basically, it looked like a flying submarine. It was a submarine before a submarine was invented. But once the submarine was invented, then the UFOs that were seen after that started to look even more futuristic and even more modern. And supposedly, we have recovered UFOs from crash sites and have reversed engineered them, and that helped us, make the modern aircraft that we have today, the stealth aircraft and things of that nature. And so these alien craft seem to be one step ahead of modern technology, human modern technology. And whatever the aliens seem to be coming out with, human beings come out with something similar not too far down the road. And as I said before, all these alien craft looked like human craft that would be created several years down the road. And it wasn't until the space age that these UFOs that were spotted started to look saucer-shaped, started to look way different and way futuristic. Okay, with all that being said, let's get back to the whole alien thing. I believe that the alien phenomena, the supposed extraterrestrial alien phenomena, could be traced back to Genesis 4:6 about the Nephilim, about the fallen angelic race impregnating the human race and creating these human angelic hybrids, these giants. You may be thinking, well, what the heck does that have to do with aliens? Aliens come from another world. They come from another planet. They're not giants. It's something totally different. Remember what I said, that Satan doesn't do anything new. He always repeats what he does. He doesn't have really any new tricks up his sleeve. He just reinvents the wheel. He just puts what he's doing in a modern, culturally acceptable motif. And because we are in the space age, and we're not back in medieval times or the times of the knights or whatever, then the whole mythos of giants and minotaurs and centaurs and these chimera creatures really are not relevant to this space age. So he is disguising himself as these aliens. Now, all you have to do is research the teachings of these aliens. What are the aliens telling the human beings that they come in contact with? That they're from another, like another star system, another planet. There's another interesting thing. Now they're saying they're from Zeta Reticuli, that star system. But before we knew what we know now about our solar system, earlier alien encounters, these aliens says, oh, we're from Mars, we're from Venus, we're from Jupiter. They were saying that they're from our solar system. But once we discovered that these planets are uninhabitable, then they started telling people, oh, we're from this star system or that star system. We're not even in your same solar system. So these alien encounters, they're changing the story of where they come from. They're basically lying. And what is the message? It's not a Judeo-Christian message. It's a New Age message. They're basically saying that they are gods. They are Elohim. They're saying, we are your brothers and sisters. We are the ones who created you. We are the ones who seeded planets all across the universe. And you are our children. You are actually star children. We created you. And we're here to guide you and to guide humanity into the next level of human evolution. You guys have destroyed your planet. You guys are at war. You can't get along with each other. We're going to show you how to live in peace. We're going to show you and divulge to you technology beyond your wildest imagination. We're going to cure sickness. And when they say, well, what about Jesus Christ? Oh, well, he was just another ascended master, just like Muhammad or just like Confucius or just like the Buddha. He was just a good, wise teacher. They will never say that he was the Son of God. So they deny Christendom. They deny the Judeo-Christian faith. They speak against it. They totally contradict it. But everything they say totally lines up with New Age. It's a New Age religion. So that kind of gives you a hint of who they really are, because Satan is a liar and the father of it. He's the father of lies. His mission is to kill, steal, and destroy. His mission is to lie and to deceive. And that's what he's doing, through this alien phenomena. That's what he did with the Nephilim phenomena. We are gods and we are your creators and we are your benevolent caregivers, and we want you to cohabitate with us and create this new superhuman race. And it's an honor if you bear and sire our children. Guess what's happening? Women are being abducted by aliens. Their eggs are extracted. There's other sexual experiments performed on them. They're put back to where they were. And then years later, they're re-abducted and they're shown, supposedly, their children, their prodigy. Because these aliens supposedly took their eggs and mingled it with their seed and created these human-alien hybrids. There's encounters and there's stories like this. They abound. They're countless. They're numerous. And that is just a modern adaptation, a modern twist of the Genesis 6 account. These aliens are mingling their seed with the seed of the woman, the egg, and creating these alien human hybrid children that these women are re-abducted later and shown their progeny. This is Nephilim. That's all it is. So these aliens are not from another planet. These aliens are not from another solar system or star system. These aliens are just demons, fallen angels in disguise. And their story and their narrative fits the modern motif of this space age. And by them saying that they seeded the planets throughout the universe and that we are really star children, we're really their creations, they're setting themselves up as gods. So when full disclosure happens, when an alien craft lands on the White House lawn and says, hi, we've been here all along, we've been visiting this planet for, centuries, and we want you to welcome us. And, have you noticed since the 40s, it's the whole alien phenomena with Roswell. At first it was kooky, it was people that are crazy, it's weather balloons, it's fantastical, it's not real. But up here in the 2000s now, with science, at first it's, alien life, that's ridiculous. Well, then you have scientists coming along decades later saying, well, yeah, it is a possibility. It'd be ignorant to think that we're the only life in the universe. And then they're preparing humanity to entertain the idea of alien life, and not only to entertain it, but to believe that it exists, to confirm the UFO and alien phenomena, and to make these encounters and these stories of alien abduction and encounters more credible, more believable. Then you have the propaganda BS show, Ancient Aliens, that's saying that aliens have been here since ancient times. They're ancient astronauts, perpetuating this false narrative, this false God storyline. And used to, they would show UFO footage and it would be explained away as a natural phenomena, or it would be explained as a hoax or whatever. Now they're showing these UFO clips on the national news and saying that they are UFOs, not that the government says it's this or other people says it's that or that it's probably a hoax. They're saying, no, this is an unidentified flying object. And they're asserting and implying and making the assumption that it's extraterrestrial, that it's aliens and alien craft from another star system. And now it is accepted, and with the Hollywood and with the movies, it has conditioned society to believe in, to accept, and to make seem totally logical and plausible alien craft and alien life. So when full disclosure happens, and I believe that there will be a time when aliens will show up, it will throw the Christian community that is not educated and unprepared and doesn't know the scriptural Judeo-Christian biblical narrative. It'll cause many to lose faith, many to fall away from God, and it'll cause many to embrace these aliens as gods, as our space parents, if you will, and that we need to just totally surrender and submit to them because they have our best interest in mind. They want to save us from war, from poverty, from hunger, from racism. They want to cure our diseases and all that, when they want to put us into subjection and submission to them. So it's somehow going to play into the end times narrative. Exactly how, I don't know. Okay, my next point I want to make. There is absolutely no proof whatsoever that these alien craft, these UFOs, UAPs, and these aliens are extraterrestrial. There's no proof whatsoever. It's just assumed. There's no proof whatsoever that they're from a different planet, a different star system. But there is evidence, and there is leanings and indications that they're not extraterrestrial, but extra-dimensional. That's why they can seemingly break the laws of physics with their craft. That's why they can appear and reappear out of thin air, out of nowhere, because they slip in and out of dimensions. Not that they come from another world or another planet, another star system. They're not extraterrestrial, they're inter or extra-dimensional beings. And isn't that what angels are? Isn't that what the spirit world is? Just another realm, another dimension. So, these fallen angels who are now become demons, basically, and are pawning themselves off and parading themselves off, not as false gods like back in, biblical times, but as aliens. They're wearing alien masks. They're saying they're from another planet when really they are from another dimension. And we can't see the spirit world. We can't see the spirit realm. Even though it interlaps and overlaps with ours, we can't see it. But angels and demons are all around us. Daniel talks about the spiritual warfare in the heavens, where one of the angels is trying to get a message to him, but was hindered by another spiritual prince, by another demonic force or entity that ruled a certain country. But of course, Daniel didn't see it. It happened in another dimension. It happened in another realm. Whenever prophets or John the Revelator had these visions and Paul was called to the third heaven, he was taken basically to another dimension, another realm of existence. So there's plenty of evidence and enough to point to this alien phenomena as not being extraterrestrial, but extra-dimensional. And again, this is all a part of the grand scheme of deception. Now, this podcast, if you will, is not meant to be an exhaustive podcast and divulging all of the facts and the information and the teaching that is out there from a Judeo-Christian perspective on what UFOs and aliens are from a Judeo-Christian worldview. I just wanted to give you the basics, and I wanted to give you enough for you to prove to you and for you to understand that the UFO and alien phenomena can be explained through a biblical worldview. There's a lot of people who genuinely want to know what this is, and they go to their religious leader, their rabbi or their pastor, and they have no explanation for it whatsoever. Or they say, oh, well, it's the devil. oh, it's satanic. And they don't explain why. They don't give any reasons. They just kind of brush it off because they don't want to deal with it. They don't know how to answer it. They're a little embarrassed, or maybe that they say, oh, well, you're crazy. There's no such thing, and just dismiss it altogether. And these people that are truly wondering and truly searching will go somewhere else to get their explanation. They'll go to the History Channel and watch Ancient Aliens and say, yeah, that makes sense. That must be what it is. And it throws seeds of doubt in them, plant seeds of doubt in them to dismiss the Bible and the biblical narrative and the Judeo-Christian faith, because they say, well, it didn't have the answer for me. Clearly, there's something going on. Whether it's real or whether it's a hoax, there's got to be an explanation for it, and the Christian Jewish community is not giving me that explanation, but I'm finding it in New Age, or I'm finding it in Hinduism, or I'm finding it, wherever else, in secularism and atheism. I'm finding it, so therefore I'm going to believe it, and that's what my faith practice is going to be. And so people are being led astray into false religions and false worldviews and false philosophies because of the whole alien phenomena, and because the Judeo-Christian community can't give a legitimate, solid, biblical, truthful answer as to what aliens and UFOs are. Now, for more information, I highly recommend that you go to skywatchtv.com and especially look at the works of Derek P. Gilbert and Josh Peck. They've also collaborated on some books and some videos. Go to their store and look up their stuff. They have a lot of books, and they've written a lot of books regarding the UFO and alien phenomena. There's also a lot of videos out there regarding the UFO and alien phenomena. The Fall Brothers have created a DVD called Higher Entities. There is a whole video series called Project Stargate. And all of this explains a little bit more detail and a little bit more thorough than, well, a lot more thorough than I have, in regards to what UFOs and aliens are from a Judeo-Christian worldview. And all of this can be validated through Scripture and through the Bible. So I highly recommend that you look into these you look into these resources if you're curious, if you're wanting to know more, because the Paranormal Ponderings, again, is meant to whet your appetite, is meant to, give you at least elementary, basic, foundational answers to what the paranormal is through a biblical worldview. And I know that this discussion and this topic has probably generated more questions than it did provide answers, but at least you got some solid, basic answers to get a good general understanding of what the UFO and alien phenomena is. It is satanic, it is demonic, and I explained to you why from the biblical narrative through Genesis 6 and the whole plan of Satan to try to corrupt the human race and to draw men away from the one true God. But I hope I whetted your appetite enough that you will look into the resources that I suggested and learn more and be equipped and be armed, so that when you as a believer, people ask you, well, does the Bible have anything to say about aliens? Does the Bible have anything to say about Bigfoot? Does the Bible have anything to say about ghosts? Does the Bible have anything to say about, the Loch Ness Monster or cryptozoology or whatever? You will be equipped and you will be armed to give an answer, and from a Judeo-Christian biblical worldview, because the Bible has the answers to all of our questions and all of our problems. It's a solid book, and it's got everything that God ever wanted us to know in it. And so I'm hopefully am able to present to you these findings and these facts so that you will be more secure and feel more armed when you're talking to other people about the paranormal from a Judeo-Christian worldview. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. Go out there and have a great day. God bless. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to press the like button as well as the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and the notification bell that'll let you know every time I make a new video. And don't forget to share this with a friend. Also, visit our website at abrahamsdescendants.com. Thanks. Shalom. Thanks for watching. Stay connected by subscribing to our other social media accounts and visiting our website at abrahamsdescendants.com. abrahamsdescendants.com. Getting back to the first century in a 21st century way.